Have you guys ever watched that one video Luigi wins by doing absolutely nothing? Blue Box is like that, but if Luigi was a really bland high school girl. Blue Box is the latest and greatest in seasonal romance. I have seen video after video hailing this show as the pinnacle of mature romance. Even back in its manga days, people swore it was different. The characters don't just let their misunderstandings sit, they confront these issues, they talk things out. That's what makes Blue Box good. That's the Blue Box that I was expecting. But it turns out the cool YouTube dudes lied to me, and now I'm gonna lie to you too, check this shit out. Chinatsu is a high school basketball player that had just missed nationals by a hair. She's poured an endless amount of hours into honing her craft, always practicing, always the first one at the gym, so you can imagine her frustration at being a loser. That's how Taiki, our main protagonist, fell in love. He saw her countless hours, her sky-high dedication to being better, and it inspired him to work that much harder at his own passion, badminton. One morning, something in the air shifted. The two began to catch each other at the gym. Every morning, they'd be the first and only people there, and so, of course, they started talking. But just when Taiki feels like he's finally taking his first step forward with her, it all comes crumbling down. Taiki rushes to the gym and immediately unloads his... okay, let me try that again. Taiki runs to the gym and begins shouting passionately at her, but turns out she's not going anywhere. In fact, she moves in with Taiki instead and the domestic girlfriend music starts playing. Well, now the show has my attention. I think it's important to mention that I am not looking for a train wreck here. Make no mistake, I'd be hooked if they were fuck buddies, but I'm not doomed, okay? I can watch romance that isn't Rent-A-Girlfriend and still enjoy it. In fact, watch this. Skip and Loafer. A sign of affection. See, that's two right there. I've retained my good taste card. You can no longer make fun of me for. I like it when romance moves forward. You can do it loop-de-loop and pull for all I care, so long as it leads me somewhere new. These shows tend to carry this awkwardly earnest quality to them that, through their characters, win me into their stories. And for a second, I really believed Blue Box was about to be the same. So let's talk about the good. I spoil everything! The first few episodes tell you this show is going somewhere. Taiki's a bit average, sure, but he's open. He isn't afraid of girls, he's just normal. The guy has two interests, badminton and Chinatsu. Otherwise, you can slap this guy on pretty much any other self-insert protagonist pretty seamlessly. But what makes Blue Box work is when you surround that normalcy with such a caring, beautifully crafted support system. You have Hina, his childhood friend, Haru, his badminton rival, and Stark from Freeform. This cast immediately had his back. His crush wasn't exactly his favorite, but they'd work to put in the good word. They'd leverage that shit to push him the extra mile in badminton, and most importantly, they'd keep his goals grounded in reality. Blue Box found its flow in its ability to weave through the romance, build up the sports, and tie it all back to a story with no wasted motion. There weren't misunderstandings to bog down the show, and if there were, these characters would just talk it out. The Blue Box I was promised was beginning to deliver, and it was beginning to look like I lied to you after all. With episode 6, we get what is probably the greatest episode of season 1 ever. And I mean that, it's only downhill from here. But in the meantime, the story shifts perspectives to Hina. She just caught Chinatsu walking into Taiki's house, so you can imagine where this show is going with this. But not this time, Hina was surprisingly understanding. Instead, with this change in perspective, the show shoves you deep into her psyche. She's a prodigy, someone who's already at the top of her game, but when you reach the top like that, perfection isn't just a goal to strive for anymore, it's an expectation. So when that weight begins to press down on her, it becomes abundantly clear the sheer amount of value she places in her friendship with Taiki. He's the relief, the one she gets to turn her brain off and shoot the shit with, but he and Chinatsu are closer than ever, and Hina knows better than anyone that that's what Taiki wants. So she creates distance. Even when we see the way it eats away at her, she keeps on pushing further and further away. But it's fine. She needs to keep focusing on gymnastics. That's what she keeps telling herself, even if she needs to do it alone, because she's fine on her own. This is when I realized that this is going to be a good show. To me, this episode was Blue Box's first emotional peak. It cemented to me that if they were doing this with third string, I can only imagine the highs we were in for with the others moving forward. Blue Box was on track to become something truly special. So why the fuck are we in the middle of a goddamn love triangle? What made Blue Box work was balance. You had sports with stakes interwoven with a cast of characters that ensured that this romance felt inevitable. So Blue Box then looked at this and said, what if we remove the sports? Well, I don't know. What do you think happens when you have a line with 1 point? Remember when I said Taiki has two interests? Well, one of them is fucking gone now, so the only logical step left is to shift to Chinatsu's perspective to see how basketball plays out, right?
Wrong!
With Taiki's badminton out of the question, Chinatsu sets a boundary, which is fair enough, I guess, but now he's prowling, and Chinatsu has left to play basketball off screen. So both of his interests, the two things that were driving this story, are gone now. That mutual grind from before, the dynamic that made Blue Box so compelling in the first place had disappeared. The cracks in Blue Box's foundation were beginning to show, and it was looking more like a blue pyramid, if you know what I mean. you know, a blue triangle. You know what I'm saying? A blue with its sports sidelined. The story only had one place left to go: romance. And with Chinatsu off somewhere, Hina begins making her first moves. Immediately, she steps up and asks Taiki to the fireworks festival, the same festival that Chinatsu would be attending with some friends. You see where this is going, right? Chinatsu sees them together and gets mad. She doesn't say it right away, but the next time Taiki's sleeping, she's there. That's strike one, but unfortunately for her, Hina is just getting started. One day, Chinatsu's most important game yet is finally getting some screen time while Hina and Taiki enjoy a lovely day in the park. So, of course, Taiki starts rambling on about Chinatsu like an asshole, and for Hina, it's a painful reality check, a reminder of just who gets to hold on to Taiki's heart for free. But she's not about to let it slide. Not this time. She decides that what she needs right now is for Taiki to know how she really feels. She confesses. And Chinatsu... Then she sees Hina teasing Taiki the next day and gets mad again. This is an astronomical amount of losing in one go, and also strike two. It's a day like any other when Chinatsu, left with no other sports to focus on anymore, is forced to re-enter the fray, and as if sensing this from another plane, Taiki immediately reminds Hina that he likes Chinatsu before manifesting behind Chinatsu herself. 5 episodes of the greatest offensive run in anime history immediately flushed down the drain. Then Chinatsu drags him to the fucking beach and they play in the...
Nike?
Don't watch anime on Dailymotion. If you didn't know this, Taiki just took off the Nikes, but also these two are friends again, just frolicking in the water as if nothing happened. They end up sharing this sweet little moment where Taiki addresses a misunderstanding from the fireworks festival, and Chinatsu apologizes for setting the boundary because you could really tell she was struggling with it off screen for the last 5 episodes. Then she leaves again because her grandpa collapsed. Does this show still want her here? Is this still a main character? That's strike 3, by the way. Is this still I think what makes this so frustrating for me is how blatantly Chinatsu coded this story is meant to be. The 4 episodes leading up to this made her such a non-presence. You feel the distance because Blue Box forces you to filter her through Taiki's hormonal teenager vision. But the problem is in how the story isolates Chinatsu specifically to that bubble. It makes for a very realistic depiction from the lens of someone like Taiki, but it also removes the emotional weight she is meant to have in this story. You can never get a clear read on her thoughts or intentions, which is fine to an extent. It adds mystery or intrigue or builds into her character as an introvert, but you can't give me 1 glimpse. 1. Okay, 2. 20 episodes have passed. 2? Hina has gotten episodes worth by this point. Not scenes, episodes. Chinatsu is not keeping pace. This is the main girl, by the way, poster girl of the series, and yet even her basketball, her side of the sports and romance story is relegated to a fraction of an episode or 2 at most, where her thoughts are vaguely monologued by the person standing next to her instead. I don't care about you. Why can't she tell me? Chinatsu being an introvert is not an excuse anymore. She just does not have thoughts. Everyone has thoughts. Hina has thoughts. Fucking Haru has thoughts. It's not because they're extroverts. This is a plushie. It creates this narrative imbalance where the emotional weight of the story falls squarely on these guys and turns Chinatsu into more of a goalpost than the main character. I'm sorry about the voice crack there, guys. I got a little bit heated, so thought I'd tone it down a little bit. You know how it goes. My heart really breaks for Hina, and I'm sure that most of this arc was meant to be her story to begin with, but the imbalance is crazy. From episode 1, Taiki's heart was already set on somebody else. Every time he sees Chinatsu, she gets a 20,000 point boost to her Taiki social credit. When was the last time you saw LeBron shoot a 20,001 point game? Statistically, Hina cannot keep up. Hina desperately wants Taiki to see her as a love interest, so she lets him know. She lays her heart bare for him to see. Episode after episode, she pushes, she makes her presence known, and yet she still puts those feelings aside to be there for Taiki when he needs it. But Taiki doesn't reciprocate, at least not romantically, which means Hina is effectively bending over backwards for a brick wall, and she's losing. Obviously, trying doesn't entitle you to the relationship or anything, but at least I get to, I don't know, see the effort? Chinatsu and Taiki's relationship then becomes this slow, creeping inevitability, not as that natural progression from before, but because the story said so. And no, I'm not saying this because I think Hina deserves better. That's a fact, she absolutely deserves better. But you need to keep that same level of investment in Chinatsu with or without the sports. I want to look at this triangle and bite my nails, trying to consider every last person's perspective, knowing that regardless of who comes out on top, someone's getting bit in the end. And yet, this triangle is obtuse as shit. Why do I already know who wins and yet know nothing about the victor? Me too, Taiki, me too! Yeah, I've already been through this, but 25 episodes to start is crazy. Kororon did this shit in 4 minutes, and by comparison, isn't fair, shut up. The point is, you cannot be hitting me with the Elder Scrolls special anymore. Is that really it? Is Chinatsu silently mauling really the only reason why people keep calling this show mature? High schoolers are dumb. Not super dumb, a lot of them are probably smarter than me, but that doesn't make hormone-infused dumbassery disappear. And with that being said, I actually think Blue Box is a pretty solid depiction of uncertain teens trying to navigate their feelings. The Blue Box cast is immature as fuck. No, not you guys, but I get it. I don't really mind if high schoolers are gonna high school, but at one point does that make Blue Box anything other than any other romance out there? The emotional soup still devours the main cast whole, it's just quieter about it. Taiki still meanders around his feelings, Chinatsu still catches him standing next to another girl and gets mad but refuses to fucking talk about it, and by the end of it, Hina is left bench pressing the emotional weight of this season to keep this series alive. Yeah, they talk out their misunderstandings for the most part, but at some point it's too late. The tension in these moments blows over with the wind. If you haven't carried your weight through it, you're getting left behind. Meanwhile, the burn is agonizingly slow, despite it being made clear through every interaction who Taiki's meant to get with. If you're gonna show me the finish line, build up to it. I realize I'm doing a lot of hating right now, but does it make Blue Box that bad? I mean, hey dude, did you hang up the ball that makes people kiss properly? I don't know how to tie a knot. Sounds good, let's get everyone directly under it. It's not that bad, and it has its moments. There's plenty of value to be found in Taiki's sad boy reflection hours, or the underlying tension eating away at Hina after having confessed to a brick wall. If we just did that more, but with Chinatsu, I'd be happy. Also, unrelated, there is a disgustingly little amount of balling in the show. I was looking for some of that link click shit, some of that Kuroko no basket shit. Chinatsu is getting outballed by magical destroyers. And they aren't even balling. You can't ball with a head. You gotta ball with the ball. You can't ball with. However, the badminton was phenomenal, and it did pick up again about as quickly as it dropped off. So for my money, that's where this show shines best. But at the end of the day, Blue Box is a simple vanilla romance series first and foremost. Did it have a great balance of sports and romance? Yeah, at first, but when it tore itself away from that, all we were left with were the will they won't they's, the misunderstandings, and the childhood friend losing. And when your main love interest can't back it up, that's when it begins to feel rigged or cheated from the start. And I'm sure that the author was holding off until she and Taiki properly got together, but that doesn't mean that there isn't any depth to explore here. Show me what's going on every time she gives Hina the goddamn penance stare. Show me what it is that eats away at her, that keeps her up at night when no one else is looking. Is it really a surprise that Hina's the more popular of the two on my anime list? That everyone in the comment section is getting impatient or shipping Hina and Taiki directly? No. If there's one thing I'd take away from this video, it's to stop listening to recommendations from randos on the internet. But also, that between Taiki and Chinatsu's endeavors and Hina's bittersweet journey to the end of her world, if Blue Box taught me anything, it's how to lose. It's gonna suck when season 2 comes out and I have to take back everything I said in this video. Yup.